Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling, as you see what's going on on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, as we'll be relaxing as per usual. Apparently it's a fishing tourney today. Is that something we're going to be participating in? No. Who cares? Who cares about a good old fishing tourney? Anyway, so yeah, I don't know what we're going to talk about today. Gaming wise, there's just like I don't know. I've got my Neopets dailies, of course, I need to do. And you might be like, Neopets dailies that important? Not really, but just sort of like a fun thing to do, I think, at the same time. Hello everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 4:56 p.m. on Saturday, July 13th, 2024. So what can we talk about today? I don't really know, to be honest. What have I been up to? Not like a huge amount. I've been playing, mainly I've been playing some games here and there, doing a bit of Zenless Zone Zero, because I wanted to try and get a bit further, I suppose, in my plot, make some progress of that. It's slow and steady wins of a race. I've still got quite a bit of time until Ellen's banner ends. Am I going to get her in time? I don't know. I certainly hope so, but we'll, certainly see and find out. But yeah, where else was I going to go with this? Yeah, I've been watching a bit more Dimension 20 of Fantasy High, nearly at the finale now. I'm sort of like partway through the episode before the finale. Things are very much heating up, I suppose. I'm just going to sit here. Now, hold on. Let's at least go to the ABD and get our Nook Mile daily rewards, as I try and sort of think about something that I want to talk about, which I'm not sure if necessarily anything comes to the top of mind. I won't be here tomorrow to stream, of course. That's why we had a stream earlier this Thursday, in case you missed it, where we finished off Glittermitten Grove and did a bit more drawing. I do need to do some drawing today as well, but, you know, sometimes it's hard to fit in all the recreational things that, you know, you want to do throughout life, of course. But, well, throughout life is a bit too of a macro scale, I think, compared to what I'm talking about right now, but you know what I mean, right? Anyway, anywho, what can we talk about? That's a great question. So, you know, let's look for some inspiration or conversation topic. Reddit, photos. What photos do I have? There's nothing else really over the weekend to talk about. I've got no, like, gacha game screenshot, but I don't know why this is necessarily here, and put that in the archive. Yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like so much of what's in my archive must be just like screenshots of like really random things here and there. Like at one point I did go through my archive and basically clear everything out, because I was like, what's the point of having all of this in my Google Photos? But it's fun to look back at your Google Photos here and there and see what you got. Apparently there's a print store on Google Photos. I didn't actually realise this, but I guess that makes sense. Maybe? I don't know. Highlight video? You can apparently Google Photos has a lot more features than I initially remembered. It's like me looking at that, it's like, I wonder what features they have, and I wonder if Google Photos inbuilt features are better or worse than what Windows Movie Maker used to be when I was growing up. So let's say like when I was like 10 or something. Because it's interesting to think about. I actually did technically make some YouTube videos when I was much younger. Were they good videos? No, absolutely not. They were absolutely terrible. They were more like, I suppose, inspired by sort of like Chugga Conroy style sort of videos, but they were basically kind of like Let's Plays, but the only ones I did were like Mario Party mini games. I'm pretty sure they're deleted off YouTube now, or made private, so I don't know. I don't think they exist anymore. I was definitely way too young to be making them as well. I was like 10 or something, so I don't really know what the motivation was, but nonetheless, they existed. I forgot what I was getting with this. Oh, but like, apart from like videos uploaded to YouTube, that sort of thing, I did used to use Windows Movie Maker like quite a bit, which also I believe Windows Movie Maker doesn't exist anymore, or like it's been replaced by hold on, Windows Movie Maker, like it's been replaced by something. I thought it's been discontinued, or is it? Maybe it's not been discontinued. No, discontinued 2017. Oh yeah, I mean, it had like a built-in into like a Windows Photos app or something on 10.11, which is like, whoa, I had no idea that this was a thing. but yeah, what I was going to say about that is the fact that it's like I used to like use it a decent amount to sort of like try and like make these videos, and it's kind of nostalgic thinking back on it, because if you weren't around for the early days of YouTube and seeing how many people just made sort of videos out of these like an edited things out of Windows Movie Maker, it's interesting to think about, like, or to see, because they were just like the videos themselves. Like I think there's nothing more definitive of a video made in Windows Movie Maker than seeing, you can imagine if you've seen it, like navy-ish mid sort of blue background, white text on top, which sort of like pops in with like this sort of shadowed like after image transition. That to me, I think, like, you see it and you go definitively, that's a Windows Movie Maker, like that's like the default like transition or something between clips or something. And it's, I don't know, like seeing that, you know, that and the song not Take On Me, what's it called, what's that song called which always played? It goes like oh, 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 oh. Some sort of like electro synth song. That is like such a definitive song, in my opinion, of that sort of like era of YouTube. And it's weird to think that, like, I guess that obviously doesn't exist anymore. Like nowadays, I suppose people, if they are making videos or something, you can do a lot of like editing now on your phone, right? Which is crazy to think about. Like people just make TikToks, I assume, on their phone and just do things like really basic editing apps. And back in the day, like the hoops you had to go through to make like edited clips or whatever was crazy. Because I think I spoke about this before, like before OBS was a thing, there was another program, because I used to follow this like when I wanted to be a YouTuber but didn't have like the courage to actually like record anything, nor the charisma really to make anything of note, but maybe that would have improved as I recorded things. But what I was going to say is there used to be like another app. Actually, there was an app in between. I can't remember what it's called though, off the top of my head. But like I remember it was like a red one, and it was free. It was like the first, maybe it was like the first iteration of OBS or something. And it was like, whoa, I can't believe how good it is. Sorry. But like way back in the day, like how there used to be a program called Fraps, which I can't imagine still operate because there's probably no reason for it to exist anymore. But it was like one of the earliest. Like last release was 2013, so it's not even supported anymore, which is totally fair because it is now like an outdated program. But it was basically like a screen capture software. You had to buy a license for it. I remember that much, and I remember just like so badly wanting a license, but then never actually doing it because I was so like I was quite young. Like I was like maybe like 9ish, 8ish or something. Like what, I can't remember when I started watching YouTube and started wanting to make videos, but I used to like look at Fraps and be like, oh, I want a license so badly. But, you know, my parents were definitely not like super up to date with like latest technology. I mean, to be fair, they were. Like we had a computer, like probably earlier than most people did. But like still buying things online on a computer, like even as I got older, was definitely always a bit like, ooh, don't know how that works. Not don't know how that works, but like it's always like, it basically the general vibe I got was like it was a not shady thing to do, but it was like, it was an unsafe thing to do. Which obviously now is not the case. In fact, I would wager my parents are actually pretty good at technology compared to the average people their age. But yeah, I used to be like so like never wanting to buy a Fraps license, and then I actually bought one time. Like I can't remember when. Maybe it's when I started like buying games online. I was like, let's buy Fraps as well. And just like recording with Fraps was such like a chore, from what I recall. It was so like weirdly like inconvenient to do stuff. Like I remember the file sizes were like huge, were like multiple gigabytes, and like the hard drives I had back then weren't even that big, because this is like before I even built a computer. This is still my pre-made like Windows Vista computer I got from like PC World or something like that. And it's just like almost kind of weird to think about the fact that, like, no, in a great way, by the way. It's fantastic how the technology is now much more achievable and accessible to everyone. You don't have to buy like a £30 frap license and have like a large enough storage space for videos, and like have some sort of understanding on how to actually record stuff back in the day. Like I'm talking about it as if I was like in the heyday, I suppose, of early YouTube. I was there as a spectator, not as a creator. So this is very much some like a false what's that word you use when it's like I try to take credit, not credit for something, but try to like pretend to be something is relevant to me when it wasn't. I can't remember what the word is off the top of my head, but like false credentials or something. It's not really the right word, but still. Back in the day, but I still like experience it, I guess, because even if I didn't upload anything, it was just, like, I actually completely forgot as well. I recorded like a couple of episodes of me playing through Super Meat Boy when I was younger as well. I don't even know if it's even made it to YouTube or something, but it's very weird to think about. But I'm pretty sure that channel has like been deleted or something. I mean, I can see. I still know what that channel is, of course, but I'm not going to say it out loud or anything. I'm pretty sure I looked this up at some point as well. Oh, well, the channel's still there. 14 subscribers. Very funny. Yeah, no videos on it, so I guess I deleted them. Yeah, but it's like, it's weird to think about. Because I remember, like, back in that day, like, on the forums I used to go to, people, like, editing videos together using Windows Movie Maker, and it was a very interesting experience, I suppose, knowing about that as well. And I was like, oh, I want to become good at Windows Movie Maker. And then how frustrated I got at using Windows Movie Maker. It's like, how do these people make such cool videos and stuff online, but I can't do that with Windows Movie Maker? And then learning that, oh, there's a thing called Adobe After Effects, which people like use to make actual proper stuff. And then like my shift from wanting, because probably by that point I actually got a Fraps license or something, my desire to be like, oh, I so badly want a Fraps license, to now being like, oh, I so badly want a Adobe license for things, for like Photoshop and After Effects. Except for back in that day, it was, well, in my mind, of course, it was insanely expensive. I mean, it still is expensive. Like it costs like 300 something pounds, which back in the early 2000s was certainly more expensive than it is now. I don't know how much inflation has changed it, but still, or the buying power of it. But I remember that, and then you get access using free trials or other methods or whatever, and you get pretty good at using it, and then you pop off in like one project you have in graphics and GCSE time, and it's a very amusing time. And then you realize, hey, making videos is pretty fun, and then you never stoke that hobby any further until you reach like your early 20s, and then you start playing an Animal Crossing game and decide that through discipline you're just going to record every single day for however long you decide, until you get bored of it. And then here you are 5 years later, still doing it somehow. What a journey it's been. If anything, for my own sake, it would be interesting to look back at the previous Animal Crossing videos to see like a sort of time capsule of my own life. Whether that be good or embarrassing, I don't know, but maybe for future historians it'd be like an interesting record, a day-to-day. Although to say it's particularly representative of a day-to-day is, I think, a bit misleading. It's not like I'm really narrating I'm sometimes sort of narrating what I'm doing on my day-to-day, but obviously not everything. At the end of the day, the internet is a public space. But yeah, it's just like, it's so weird to think about, like how more accessible these sort of things are, like screen recording to editing, because now like you don't have to like have a Premiere Pro or After Effects license now to do editing, or Sony Vegas, which I think is not free, but I don't remember. I don't own a Mac, so because now there's a piece of software called DaVinci Resolve, which is free, and it's fantastically easy to do like anything with. It feels like a mix of Premiere Pro and After Effects when I'm doing stuff with. I don't find it as easy to use as After Effects to do like big like special things, but that's like fine. It doesn't need to be. Like the only thing I need to use it for is to do like splicing of videos and stuff, which is fine. If that's all you need it for, that's all you need it for. But the fact there's so many like free software now for things is fantastic. You don't need Photoshop anymore. You got Clip Studio Paint, which I always vouch for. Even the fact they've got like a weird different like payment scheme now, because they're also trying to land on hop on the subscription sort train, much to the chagrin of their audience. But Clip Studio Paint is still like a fantastic piece of software, and if you don't even want to pay anything for it, you can use Krita, you can use GIMP, Paint.net, or all of these tools just like at your disposal. I don't know any other video editing ones, by the way, so certainly don't quote me on that. It's just cool to see how accessible it is, and just to think it started with these humble days of Windows Movie Maker, which had just such a rudimentary, well, everything, to be honest. There's not a lot about Windows Movie Maker, which was like, oh yeah, this is super advanced stuff, you know? You look at it and be like, yeah, the things it's capable of is crazy. But people still used to do fun stuff in it. Like, I remember projects that we used to do back in secondary school. Because it's a thing which always annoyed me about graphics, I suppose, is that as a subject, like, you don't get access to, like, the programs. You only can do it on the school computers, which you can only do doing, like, break and lunchtime or the actual lesson itself. So it's really hard to do, like, any homework and graphics unless you can get a license. But anyway, that's not the point. What was I going to say about it? Like, all these projects we used to do when we were younger to, like, make things. I'm trying to think. Okay, like, in year 7, I think I talk about this a lot. We had like IT lessons, like which is basically computer lessons, done in French, because our school was basically having a like experimental thing, being like, oh, let's try and teach like 2 subjects at once, and in the end we basically learned neither of the subjects. So big failure. They did not, or maybe they did continue, I don't know, I'm not really sure. Anyway, not the point. That's what happened, and like we had to make a video at some point in French, but I can't remember why or what we had to do. But all I remember is someone else in my class making, like, he was more of like a sort of class clown troublemaker-y sort of person, is how I describe him. And then he just made like this stop motion-esque sort of video with like Lego pieces. He was a bit of a comedian, quote, but like a not like a bad comedian, but like a bad boy comedian sort of thing. And it's how does, like, a delinquent comedian, does that make sense? I don't know. So his stuff was very much sort of like antagonistic towards the like authority figures, I suppose. And I remember him making the stop motion video completely narrated over in French, and like he made it in like Windows Movie Maker as well or something. And then he the teacher, like, we were all just like ha 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 ha, oh person, what a terrible video you made. But then the teacher was like fairly as well that his was actually the best, because his was the only one which had like continuous French like dubbed over the top. I think it's like his mother was like a language teacher or something. You might be like, what video did you make, dear darling, with your group? I genuinely have no recollection off the top of my head of what it is. I've been sitting here this entire time trying to think of what it was. It probably was made in Windows Movie Maker, but I genuinely cannot recall what it was. I think it was meant to be an advert for the school, but it was meant to be in French or something. So I remember having grand ideas, but having no like leadership skills or direction to be able to actually execute what I wanted. Nowadays, I feel like I can certainly do a lot better, but I'm also like a decade older, almost double the age, so you'd think that'd be true. Anyway, I don't know what we talked about. I guess Windows Movie Maker. Nostalgic to think back on all the transitions and stuff that you could use with it. And apparently you can do it in Windows Photos now, which I've never tried. Anyway, I'm going to round this episode off here, so if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been dear darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.